Okay, welcome everybody to Evening Sessions, which is a monthly program series featuring fun and engaging mix of presentation, lectures, workshops, demonstrations, author visits, and performances on topics covering the arts, culture, history, science, and more. The next evening session will be Wednesday, November 4th. Kevin Kendrick will be presenting his program Inside the FBI, 25 Years to Life. You can register through our homepage or watch us live on Facebook and be kept aware of our upcoming programs. You can register for our library newsletter. Tonight's speaker is Nicole Beauchamp, author of Haunted Bay City, Michigan. Her new book is available at Amazon and here at the library. So go ahead, Nicole. Welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I wish it could be in person, but at this time, it's probably for the best that we're doing it virtually. But I want to welcome everyone as well. Thank you so much for coming to my presentation tonight. So I am going to talk a little, give myself, introduce myself and everything, and then definitely talk about my book, Haunted Bay City, Michigan. Maybe, clear up any misconceptions maybe people have. But as you can see here below my name on the screen, there are 3 different Facebook pages that we have that you can follow us at. So you can follow the team at facebook.com/TCJHS. You can follow the book at Haunted Bay City, Michigan. And you can follow my author page at author Nicole Beauchamp. And those are all on Facebook. If you just type them in, or you type them in the search bar, or take that whole address and just put it into your on Google or something, it'll come right up. So that's where you can follow our work and follow what I'm doing as well. So some of you know me, and some of you may be wondering, who is this person that wrote this book? How is she qualified to write a book like this? Well, let me tell you. So I was actually born and raised in Bay City, Michigan. I actually grew up at a house on the corner of 15th and McClellan. My house is no more, but that's about a block behind Central High School. And so that's where I was raised. I have lived in Bay City, Michigan most of my life. I did move to a couple different cities. I moved to Florida and then Panama City Beach. I lived in Lansing and then Panama City Beach, Florida for a few years, but then of course returned home. And now I'm living on the west end of Bay City now. I have actually been a paranormal investigator for over 11 years. I started my team, Tri-City Ghost Hunter Society, on July 16th of 2009. I have done residential cases, commercial cases all over the United States and even in some other countries. So I have traveled a lot. I've investigated everything from asylums, colleges, Civil War forts, ships, you name it. If you can think about it, I've probably done it. So I've done a lot of different locations over the years and have a lot of experience with investigating. That being said, I believe that you can't investigate the paranormal unless there's history, unless there is some historical backing. Because most of the time that history is the reason why that place is haunted. So I am also a huge proponent, of course, of supporting historical efforts across the globe, and I have done that with my team. A lot of these asylums and Civil War forts and ships that we've gone to, we are helping to put money back into those locations so that they're standing for generations to come. And I've always had a passion as well, in addition to the paranormal and history, for writing and using my voice to make a difference, because I don't want to just be, doing what everybody else is doing. I want to help people, and I want to kind of do things in a very non-conventional way or unconventional way. I want to make a difference. And a way I am doing that, I feel, is with my book. And we will get into some of those reasons. Wow. And I apologize. I have cats, and they're always doing something. Bear with me just one moment. I'm so sorry. I have 4 cats. Please excuse me. Okay. So on the left-hand side, this was a drawing I actually did when I was a kid. So, you know, as you can see, not much has really changed as far as my interests go. So this these 2 little girls in this picture are saying hello in French to a ghost. And as you can see, 25-year difference. Now on to the right side of the screen is my book cover, and I don't know about you, but to me that's a huge improvement. But you know, not much has changed, like I said. So now we're going to get into my goal with this book. So I wanted to, you know, of course, validate the experiences that many people in our community have had. You know, I feel like people can be really feel very isolated if they have paranormal experiences. You know, there's people that, you know, if anybody talks about something being haunted, that, you know, people, you'll see the little laugh emojis on Facebook that people are laughing about, you know, that these people are claiming something's haunted or whatever. And you know, I've experienced that too. Like when my book was coming out, some people posted laugh emojis on on my post. But you know, people experiencing paranormal activity is actually a really real thing. I mean, since the beginning of time, and you'll read about this in my book, since the beginning of time, people have reported claims of paranormal activity from every, you know, city and state and country and village, and you know, all across the world. And it even, you know, dates back to the first century. So this is not really anything new, but it's still something that's not very widely accepted. I also wanted to set the record straight about the paranormal community, because there's huge misconceptions, I feel like, with the paranormal community, about the, I guess, the character of the people that are in the community and what their intentions are. And a lot of, I want to say, like, research-based organizations were not necessarily, I will say, in the city, were not necessarily happy with me for the fact that I was writing this book. They were not happy about me writing a book about Haunted Bay City. But I wanted to prove them wrong. I wanted to show them that I was going to do it in a very respectful way. And I want to show them what my intentions are through my writing. And with that, I can bring awareness to historical preservation and structures in my community that are in need of being renovated. There are a lot of structures, and I'll show you all the structures in the book that are actually in need of renovations and repairs. But you know, there's just so many in our city. We have a very, very historic city, and there's no better platform than something like this, where, you know, we can reach out to people and say, hey, like, we really need to, you know, make the necessary changes in, you know, with these buildings so that they're standing for generations to come, or that maybe people that are in wheelchairs will be able to visit those locations and get to enjoy them just as we do. So it gives me a platform, in a sense, to, I guess, stress the importance of historical preservation. And it also allows me to inspire people to open their minds to the idea of an afterlife. And that's not necessarily to get into anything religious or anything like that. Honestly, my book was written with, in a way that's kind of has something for everybody to enjoy, no matter what walk of life you come from or what your religion is. It's really just to give people kind of the idea that, maybe there is something more out there, and just kind of to think outside of the box and to accept life with your mind wide open, because you just never know, what could happen in life. And, I am a skeptical person, but I've had a lot of things, a lot of paranormal occurrences happened to me during my investigations. And can I tell you with 100% certainty that it was 100% a ghost? No, I cannot, because that's not something I can necessarily prove. However, just to have those experiences gives me hope. It personally gives me hope that there could be something better out there, waiting after we die. Like, it's just not this dark end, it's not just quiet and dark. There's actually something more out there. And I think, that I guess it kind of goes hand in hand with religion, because religion is very similar. It gives people some hope. And for me, the paranormal gives me hope in the same way. It also my book also encourages people to really appreciate and value one another. And I feel like, especially in this day and age, like, compassion and empathy are just becoming a thing of the past. And that's really something that I feel is really important, because we're only on this earth for so long. We might as well really, like, value and appreciate each other while we can, and, treat people with kindness, and do random acts of, kindness for people that we don't know, because why not? Everybody needs a friend. So, and you may be wondering, if you picked up my book or heard of my book, how do I know that this isn't all bogus, that I just didn't make up the stories? Because I'm sure, as you all know, and I know too, that the paranormal is a controversial subject, and not everybody is open to it. But oddly enough, even though most people aren't open to it, and I have a very supportive brother, he supports, everything I've done in my life, 100%. But he is personally kind of a science guy, and does not really believe the paranormal, nor is he really into it. So, that being said, he actually told me about a paranormal experience that he had. And so this just kind of leads me into my next little, I guess, statistic here, where 3 in 4 people, and this is according, I believe, to realtor.com, 3 in 4 people have actually claimed to have had a paranormal experience in their lifetimes. And kind of the same thing goes for I don't know how this squiggle got on the screen. Sorry if that was me, but anyway, so, I don't, even though people are not necessarily, like, always open to it, people are still having occurrences of paranormal activity. So, it's a mystery, and that's what makes it fun. But the history actually featured in my book has been thoroughly researched. I went literally to hell and back to get this research. So I utilized reputable sources like Cornell University, Bowling Green State University. I worked directly with each location staff and owners for the book. So these, and I worked with locals and people who were regular customers. I mean, it's not like I just made these stories up. These people are all real people, and they all consented to being in the book. And each location had actually read their chapter and amended it accordingly. So if there was some information that was wrong, they actually, I emailed it to them, and then they told me what needed to be changed, and then I fixed it. So that was really important to me, to get everybody's, acceptance for this project. I didn't want to do anything exploitative at all. And I feel like I avoided that completely, and I'm happy with it. My bibliography is extensive compared to other books on the subject. I don't know exactly how many pages it is. I think it's about 4. But pretty much every source I used, I included, and there was a lot of sources. I used, websites. I used the Bay County Library System. I contacted pretty much every historical society and college I could possibly reach out to across the United States, because, like I said, organizations within our city were not too keen on helping with this project because they probably thought it was going to be exploitative. So we'll get started talking about the origins of Bay City. So Bay City actually was called Lower Saginaw until Bay County was founded in 1857. And I just, my mom actually just told me like an hour ago, as I was kind of showing her the presentation, she thought that was kind of weird that it was called, that Bay City was called Lower Saginaw, because we're actually north of Saginaw. So I don't know why it was called that, but that's what it was called. But in 1865, Bay City actually became established as its own city, the east side of Bay City, that is. And then in 1905, the west side and the east side of Bay City became united and formed one city. And then, of course, with the uniting of those two cities, the population grew in size. It was originally a camping ground for Native Americans of the Chippewa tribe, and Bay City was actually preferred by pioneers due to the easily navigable waters. So that's why, like, they were trying to, ship the lumber and everything into Saginaw County, but it just wasn't working out for them. So they had to go north. Hell's Half Mile was actually the most dangerous strip of land in the entire area. So you can say it was the most dangerous strip of land in the Tri-Cities, but it was probably the most dangerous part of land in probably the entire lower half of Michigan during this time, because it was extremely violent. And you don't really hear too much, I guess, of the stories. I tried to include a lot of information that was a little bit obscure on the topic, because I feel like some of it's just too dark to publish a lot of it. But with my book, I wanted to be very honest and talk about, how violent it actually was. And there's definitely some dark and gruesome things in there. Nothing too extreme, but I just wanted to be honest with the readers about, the history of Bay City. And Hell's Half Mile was a thing during 1865 to 1900. And what it was a 6-block strip in downtown Bay City, and the most violent area was the intersection of 3rd and Water Streets. So that is actually right where the Bay City Antique Center kind of sits today, and kind of, I guess, kitty corner from that is St. Lawrence Brothers. So that area was actually extremely dangerous. Nowadays, you would never go walk down, I mean, in the past, you would never go walk down there and go shopping or anything like that, because you'd probably get killed. So that was definitely the place to avoid back in the day. It was really like the Sin City of the Great Lakes Bay region, and has a very similar history to New Orleans, believe it or not. There was so many prostitution houses, gambling houses, alcohol abuse was rampant. There were so many murders. You'd go up like to the 3rd Street Bridge area and look out on the water, and you'd see people bloodied up just floating down the Saginaw River. Like, it was just a very common sight back then, and police didn't want to go in that area either because of how dangerous it was. And we can judge them all we want now that we're in 2020, but if you were living back then, you probably wouldn't want to go down there either. So I can't really, I guess, blame them. But if you actually read my book, you'll learn more about some of the seedy characters that frequented Hell's Half Mile, and you'll learn about all their tricks to, hide from law enforcement and get from one destination to the other. But, life back in the mid 1800s was not easy by any means. And it was very weird. Entertainment actually consisted of fighting on a water street for alcoholic drinks. And when I say fighting, I don't mean like, what we're used to seeing, like wrestling or, cage fighting or whatever they do. But it was like a grown man would get down on all fours and fight bulldogs like he was a dog himself. Nowadays, PETA would be coming after you if you did something like that, and rightfully so. It's a terrible form of entertainment, but that was all the rage back in the day. Hotel rooms were actually only $1 a night, and you could get a lady of the night for 50 cents for the night. So that's extremely cheap, and we can't even fathom hotel rooms being $1. Because nowadays, some places they're $1,000 a night or more. For a whole season of work, lumberjacks made about $150 total. That means they were getting $20 to $45 monthly. And that is just crazy. Like, I can't even fathom that. Like, that's not enough to live on, in my opinion. But you know what they did with that $150? They didn't care about living on that. They wanted to go blow that in Hell's Half Mile, buy up all the drinks and buy up all the ladies of the night and just have fun, have a good time. Logging actually involves spending up to 6 months outside with soaking wet socks and shoes. So it's no wonder that people were a little crazy during that time. I mean, wouldn't you be if you had to stand in soaking wet socks and shoes for 6 months outside in the frigid weather? I sure would be. I'd be totally crazy. One prostitute was actually buried alive and is still seen at the Old City Hall restaurant. Her name was Emmeline. She was from Canada, and she is the only person that is known to have been buried alive in the city of Bay City. She was thrown into a holding cell at Old City Hall that used to be the police station back in the day. And she actually had a catatonic fit, and they thought she had died, so they buried her. And her boyfriend went looking for her because he actually thought that the police had like sent her body to the University of Michigan to do like science experiments on it or something. And come to find out, she had been alive. She was in the coffin fighting for her life. And when the coffin was opened, of course, at that point, she was dead. She had asphyxiated, but her boyfriend could see the claw marks in the top of the coffin and where the wood was. So she just clawed her way, was trying to claw her way out, but it didn't work. In the book, I talk about 10 different locations: the Uss Edson, the Bay City Antique Center, Sage Library, the Scottish Rite Masonic Center, the Historic Masonic Temple, the Shearer Building, Voodoo Tattoo, Tummy 8 Candy Store, Bayshire Beauty Academy, and State Theater. And these are the buildings that are in need of historical preservation or in need of funding in some way, shape, and or form. So over here, if everybody can see that, that is an old picture of the Voodoo Tattoo Shop. It has been historically renovated, but historical renovation doesn't just stop when you renovate the building. You have to keep up with it. And so, supporting these places is very important. Going there, checking out what they have to offer are extremely important things. And all that money gets funded right back into helping preserve that history. So I don't want to give away too much, but what I will say is I will talk about, in addition to the Sage Library, because that's mentioned on the back cover of the book, I will also tell you a little bit about the spirits that are at the Masonic Temple and a little bit about the spirits that are at the USS Edson. So for those of you who do not know, this here that I am circling, this is the Masonic Temple. That actually has a lot of different spirits haunting it, but the main spirit that haunts it is named Charlie. He is also prominently seen in the Scottish Rite Masonic Center, which is the building that's connected to it, facing Center Avenue. So for those of you who aren't aware of the area or whatever, just go ahead and type into your Google browser, Scottish Rite Masonic Center, Bay City, or the Valley of Bay City, and a picture of it will come up. And it's actually connected to the Masonic building. But that is where this figure, Charlie, is often seen. He goes between both of the buildings. He's sometimes seen just as a pair of legs or a torso, but to women, he has a tendency to fully like manifest. So women report seeing his whole form.
It'll just have to unlock itself. I said, well, how do I know
Now,
the next guy up there is not
this,
gonna be...
what you're looking at here, this is the USS Edson. This is actually haunted by well, some psychics claim that there's several spirits that are actually haunting this ship, but the most prominent spirit that's haunting the ship is named Paul, and he used to be the caretaker of the ship for many years, and it was his final wish that if he died, that he die aboard the ship, and he actually did. So you can read Paul's story when you pick up the book. It's a really great story. It's heartwarming and it's heartbreaking, but Paul is still there on that ship, and they are in need of funding as well. And so, you know, if you can go actually tour the ship and see if you can have a paranormal experience of your own. But I know why most of you are really here. And you've come here because I'm sure you've heard the rumors that Sage Library is haunted. And you saw it, you know, 2 slides ago. So you know there's something going on there. And some of you may have come to my previous presentations on our investigation at Sage Library. But now I'm going to kind of get into a little more detail and tell you about that the hauntings that are experienced at the Sage Library. So this will be right up your alley. So my question is Sage Library haunted? And this is a response. Yes, with several ghosts. But we can't really talk about Sage Library without talking about Henry Sage, who actually had the library created as a gift to Bay City. Excuse me, West Bay City at the time. So Henry Sage was born in Middletown, Connecticut, and later moved to Ithaca, New York with his family. He was not fond of his father at all. He thought his father was a failure, and he didn't want to be anything like his father. So that being said, he set off to be his own self-made man, and that's how he wound up actually in Bay City, because he became a lumber baron. He heard about how successful the lumbering industry was, especially in this area, and he wanted to, you know, be involved with it just like anybody else would be. If you know there's a lot of money in a certain field or in a certain area of the country, you know, you'd probably want to go there too and check out what that's all about. So that's exactly what he did. He actually was not only a lumber baron, but a pioneer of West Bay City, aka the village of Winona, which is what it was originally named. Henry Sage had a part in actually naming the city. He was going to call it Lake City, but he actually called it the Village of Winona. That's what he had named it. And so he was, I guess you could say, one of the founding fathers of West Bay City. He was really ahead of his time with his beliefs on women's rights to education. Back in those days, women were just expected to stay home and cook and clean and, be a homemaker. But in his opinion, he wanted them to have equal right to education. He was such a huge proponent of that he actually spoke to one of his best friends at Cornell University, and his friend created a women's college at that time, so women could have equal access to schooling. He not only was a proponent for women's rights, but also children as well. He loved kids and women. So he gifted the Sage Library to West Bay City on January 16th of 1884. And the Sage Library actually cost $50,000 to erect, which is over $1.3 million in today's money. So that is a huge donation, and it's a very beautiful one. Sage was really considered a philanthropic man, but to some of his workers, he was considered an enemy. And the reason why was because some of his workers claimed that he used their money to build the Sage Library. So that $50,000, some of that money, it's claimed that it was stolen actually from his employees. So the workers haunting Sage, I mean, it's very possible they could still be there wanting their cut of money back. And I don't know about you guys, but I surely would want my money back. I mean, they were probably working, doing very laborious work. I mean, they want their cut of their money. So like I said before, Sage Library actually has several ghosts, but Jacob Beck Sr. is the most vocal one. And he was our historical discovery on our investigation. He was also a pioneer of the city, but actually his role in Sage Library was he was the carpet layer. But even though he was a pioneer of the city, he was not remembered in the way that Henry Sage was remembered, because to people of that time, and even in this day and age, nobody, like, people care about like the architects or who donated this or who founded this, but they don't think about like the fine details of the place. Like, I wonder who like carved the wood, or like laid the carpet, or so even though he kind of had like a lowly role, I guess you could say, in working at Sage Library, he was just as important as everybody else as far as making Sage Library as beautiful as it is. So these are actually two voice clips from our investigation that we did there several years back. And we actually got the name Jacob twice. So the first time it's actually a male, and the second time it's a female. So let me go ahead and play these for you, and I'll play them twice. So that one's kind of quiet, but I'll play it again. Oh. Okay, and then the next one is actually a female who responded to us. So we say, could you tell us the name of a person who is here right now? And she says Jacob. And this one is so much clearer, and I had to slow it down a little bit because it was just a little too fast. But let me go ahead and play it for you. All right, and one more time. So we actually contacted Kirsten, who's the managing librarian at Sage, and we said, we keep getting this name Jacob. Could you tell us if you had any, previous employees by that name that had passed away? And she actually told us that Jacob, I think it was called Jay Beckinson. It was Jacob Sr. and Jacob Jr. Had actually laid the carpets there. And she told us that that was the only Jacob that had passed away. So we were very fortunate. We were able to locate the obituary of Jacob Beck Sr. And I was able to include a little bit of his story in the book. There's also a disfigured little girl that is seen at Sage. Her ghost has actually been reported for over 100 years. She's always spotted in a long white dress. She's most often seen on the 3rd floor, and she's about 10 years old or younger. But she actually died after contracting smallpox from a library book. And there is proof of this because a letter was actually sent to Sage that was dated June 18th, 1901, acknowledging her passing. And while, we were at the investigation, Kirsten was kind enough to actually give me a copy of this letter. So if anybody is interested in seeing it, I'll be happy to bring it to the next event that I do. Just let me know if that's something you're interested in seeing. Otherwise, I can probably just take a picture of it and send it to you. But this letter acknowledged little Miss Burns from contracting smallpox from a library book. And it was stated in the letter that the woman who wrote the letter did not know of an epidemic of smallpox in the library or in the Bay City area at that time. But this little girl had actually died from contracting it. So something, had been going on, or she had contracted it somehow at the library. So thankfully it's not like, COVID. It didn't spread to other kids, I guess, in the community. But it's just sad that she had to pass away because she was so young. Now, Sage Library is known for, of course, its beauty and its grandeur, but it's also known for lots of different types of paranormal activity. So some of the things I have listed up here are what has happened at Sage. There's been full-bodied apparitions, whispers in the stairwell. There's been books that, employees will leave and come back in the morning, and books are in a strange pattern. Sometimes an employee will be ready to leave for the night, and there's, boots stomping behind them, and they can hear sometimes the employee will be downstairs and hear the boots stomping down the stairs. So it's really unsettling for them to be in there alone at night. Sometimes they'll go put a book up on the shelf, and then, 5 minutes later, the book will be in a different area of the library. And I think the weirdest thing is that prior to this whole Jacob discovery, psychics would come in and they would say, there's a man that's very particular about the carpet. Well, it's just so strange because I never talked to any psychics, and my team, as far as I know, didn't talk to any psychics. So to have all these psychics say that, and then our team has that discovery where we learned about Jacob Beck Sr., who laid the carpets, is wild to me. So you can actually purchase Haunted Bay City, Michigan from a lot of different retailers: Amazon, Books A Million, Arcadia Publishing, Barnes & Noble. Target started carrying it online. So a lot of retailers, if you just type it in, a bunch of different places will come up that are selling it. There's a lot of people, for some reason, in the UK and like Australia carrying it. But whatever, that's cool, But those are some places where you can find it. Now, I am also selling signed copies. I know the holidays are coming and people are wanting to get books signed for gifts, and I'm more than happy to do that. You can write me directly at nicolebeauchamp@gmail.com. I'm only charging $25, and that includes shipping, includes the shipping cost for the book. Or you can just go to ebay.com and type in Haunted Bay City, Michigan, and the signed copy should come up. And you'll know that they're from me because it will have, my name, author Nicole Beauchamp, and in the description, it'll say autographed. But I am accepting PayPal for the books. And then for the older generation that maybe isn't too PayPal savvy, I do understand. I'm still trying to teach my mom how to use PayPal, but you can always send a money order, and if you email me, then I can get those details over to you. But we're in 2020. Most of my people out there know how to use PayPal, so just go ahead and send it that way. That's totally fine. Oh, and let me go back real quick. So another point with this that I want to make is that if you purchase on eBay, that's fine, but I just want to make you aware that the price is a tad bit higher due to the fees that they charge. So I think it's $26.50 or something. It's like $1.50 more. So I just want to make you aware of that, just so you don't think you're being scammed or something. All right, so the next event that I'm going to be doing is a spooky event at Tummy It Candy Store. It's going to be this Saturday, October 24th from 1 to 5 p.m. There's going to be a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's going to be a really family-friendly event. I'm going to be signing books there. There's going to be a psychic reader. The store itself is making like seasonal snow cones, so they're going to be specific for that event. Oh, I realize now, sorry, this is off topic. I realize now that I'm not the one making those lines on the screen, somebody else. So it's fine, but I just thought that was me. So I'm kind of happy it wasn't. Yes, see, thank you. Okay, so anyway, so you can come in costume. It's going to be really fun, family friendly. It's a free event, but we will have items for sale, of course. I'm going to be selling my book. There's going to be the psychic reader. She's going to be charging a fee. And then, of course, if you ever been to Tummy Ache, there's a lot of really good treats to buy, but Star will be giving out, she's the owner, she's going to be giving out free popcorn to people in costumes. We're also doing a really cool promotion at the spa that I'm working at because I'm a licensed massage therapist. So this is just another way to kind of, interact and have fun with the community. We're doing a promotion. So if you get a massage up until October 31st, you are entered into the drawing to win a signed copy of the book. And literally what I have, this text here on this PowerPoint here, this is exactly like word for word the promotion. So I will read it to you for those of you who maybe have some bad eyesight. There's no better way to get into the Halloween spirit than to relax with a book about local haunts. Starting the week of October 11th through October 31st, for every massage booked, our clients will be entered into a drawing to win an autographed copy of the newly released Haunted Bay City, Michigan, written by our licensed massage therapist, Nicole Beauchamp. And their winner will be announced via the Class X Salon and Day Spa Facebook page on October 31st. Another thing that I'm doing is I am selling Haunted Bay City, Michigan bracelets. They're $6 on eBay. Once again, if you just type in Haunted Bay City, Michigan bracelets, they should come right up. But 30% of each sale is directly donated to the historic Masonic Temple, and that these funds are going to be able to help me to help them make the Masonic Temple wheelchair accessible so that everybody can enjoy its beauty. And I want to just thank you all so much for tuning in and for purchasing a book, because by purchasing one of my books, you are also helping me to save local history. And what I'm going to do with a portion of each royalty check I get is to donate a portion of the money to support historical preservation efforts to a location that's in the book. And once I run out of locations in the book, I am going to focus on also helping to preserve other historical Michigan landmarks. So thank you again so much. I really appreciate it. And now if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
All right, Nicole, someone asked, at the event you were talking about at the candy place, you're gonna have books available to purchase, correct?
Oh yeah, we're going to have Bay City, Michigan merchandise, or I'm sorry, Haunted Bay City, Michigan merchandise. We're going to have books, bracelets, posters. We're going to be selling t-shirts and masks, and then we're also going to be doing a raffle. I'm so glad somebody asked this question because I actually kind of forgot about it. But we're going to be doing a raffle, so you can buy a ticket. You can not only win a bracelet, a signed copy of the book, and then a poster, but you can also win a free hour-long massage. So yeah, so it's definitely going to be worth coming on out and checking out those raffles and, you know, having a good time for Halloween.
Okay, Nicole, when you were playing the audio of the Jacob thing,
Yeah.
many people commented, and I myself could not hear that at all. Could you
Okay.
try that again?
Yeah, I can try it again. And if it does not work, if somebody just wants to like message me on Facebook, I can send it that way too, because I didn't know if you'd hear it over here. It's like right there. It's really like quiet, but the did you hear the female say Jacob? That was a little bit clearer and louder. Were you able to hear that okay?
I couldn't, but
Okay. Well, if anybody wants it to you know, hear it, like put your headphones on and listen to it, I'd be more than happy to send it to anybody interested.
okay, anybody else have any questions? Okay, I'm not saying anything. Got some people saying thank you, Nicole.
Oh, well, thank you for having me. Sorry, my cats decided to get into a fight while I was presenting, but can't predict animals, I guess, you know.
Someone wants to know what time on Saturday.
Saturday's event is from 1 to 5.
Oh,
I can go back to that screen too. Whoops, wrong way. There's the details there. So Saturday, October 24th from 1 to 5.
someone wants to know who's writing on the screen, and it says, "Is it a ghost?" Ghost, but I think they mean, "Is it a ghost?"
Well, maybe it probably is. It's not me. So I think people can actually do it from their end, but I just don't know how. Like I have a touch screen and I can't figure out how they're doing it. But you know, whatever. It's a group affair. We're all involved. Any other questions or anything?
It says, "Is Old Mercy Hospital haunted?"
I don't know for sure. I've heard rumors and everything, but I've actually heard a lot of rumors about that place, but some businesses in this city are just really adamant, I guess you could say, about keeping hush hush on haunted rumors and whatnot. So I can't say for sure. I really can't say for sure. But I've heard a lot of rumors too. So if you've heard them, I've probably heard them as well. And it definitely looks haunted. definitely got that look to it.
Question is, are there ghosts at St. Lawrence Brothers, and did they really have a chute going to the river they sent people down on?
A shoot?
I don't know what it means. I'm just
Okay.
reading it.
I mean, I've heard the rumors about St. Lawrence Brothers being haunted. Actually, I think it was a while ago. I went on like a tour with, it was around Halloween. I believe it was with the Bay County Historical Society or something. And they actually took us by St. Lawrence Brothers and told us that it was haunted. But I reached out to St. Lawrence Brothers to, you know, for when I was trying to write my book and see if they wanted to be in it, but they were not interested. So your guess is as good as mine. As far as a shoot goes, I don't know about that. I've not heard that. I'm not saying you're wrong. You probably have, you know, read it from a very reputable source, but I just personally have not heard that.
Okay, another question is, do you video when you go through these buildings?
Yeah, we have cameras. We use motion sensor cameras a lot of the time. So that way, you know, if there's any kind of motion whatsoever, we're capturing it and not missing things. But getting visual evidence has been very few and far between. We've gotten things over the years, but not necessarily here at Sage. I mean, we did get something at Sage, but it's just not like prominent enough, especially with me being over the computer, that I could show you and, you know, you would like think it was amazing or something. But unfortunately, but maybe in the future, you know, we'll get another really cool piece of video evidence again.
Okay, next question is the Glass Act haunted?
My boss says that she thinks it is. So I'll take her word for it. She's been there longer than I have. But I personally, I've worked in the spa, and to me, it's a very serene, peaceful environment, and so I don't feel on edge there at all. I feel very comfortable there. So even if there is something there, I personally feel comfortable there, being around it.
Okay, there's two questions that kind of connected. Is there a video for public viewing, and are they archived somewhere where others could look and listen to them?
So some of our actually some of our best video evidence has not been posted publicly, just because it was going to be featured on a couple shows, and that's why I haven't done it. However, due to coronavirus, I don't know if those shows are going to actually happen. So with that being said, if anybody wanted to see it, I'd be happy to send it over. But a lot of the video evidence is, it's not like clearly like a person like walking by or something like that. A lot of the time it's just discrepancies in like the coloring. So like you'll see like a black blob move, you know, from point A to point B, and it doesn't look like anything really to the average person, but people who are investigating the paranormal see that, and that's our evidence, you know. So it's still pretty cool. It's just not as cool as if you know, it was like as clear as a human being just, you know, walking across the screen or something. Anybody else?
I'm on mute the whole time. There's no more questions. People are saying thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Just want to thank people for coming, and remind you on Wednesday, November 4th, we have another evening session program, and hope to see you all then.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.